Hey folks, it annually is the wildest show of the year, and this year is no different. Returning to its usual Mania weekend spot, it's GCW's rSpringBreak from Ybor City, Florida. And it's time for the Nitro stake of it. I know it's a week out and we've moved on from WrestleMania week and so on and so forth. But anyways, if you're new to the channel, I'm Kellen Nitro. I sit here, I talk wrestling. I'm a huge wrestling fan and trying to kind of encapsulate that and bring that energy, positive energy, over to you guys on some of my favorite events. We started last year with the collective weekend over what was Canadian Thanksgiving up here for us in October. And I watched my first Spring Break card, and in my opinion, it is the Independent Wrestling All-Star card. I know there was some other events going on with Independent Wrestling TV, Title Match Network, WrestleCon, you name it, during Mania Week. But, of course, with the borders still shut up here in Canada, I don't think anybody from Canada went to WrestleMania this year or anything. So it was kind of a local Florida-ish type thing, if you know what I'm saying. But this event was on April 9, 2021, from the parking lot of the Cuban Club. And again, my take on the results and my opinion on the matches. So here we go. So the deal with the name, earlier in the year, Joey Janela put up the naming rights for his event, Spring Break, for a chance at GCW champ Ricky Shane Page, and of course he leads the 440 faction in GCW. Joey lost, and RSP now has the naming rights, so away we go. That's why we have hashtag rSpringBreak going on, or RSP Ring Break. It is Kevin Gill and Emil J on the call in the booth for us watching on Fight TV. A lot of people hating on the OG Kevin Gill and his commentary style over the past days or so. I didn't mind it whatsoever. It's a different product. It's more independent. It's more of an urban product. You know, it's kind of like rap music a little bit. It's kind of like hardcore music, you name it. So it's the underground. It's not the polished main promotional type stuff that we see on Monday or Wednesday nights or Friday nights even. This is, you know, the same stuff, the same shit, if you will, that you would see on you know, your Friday nights, Saturday nights, Sunday afternoons, you name it, at your local armory or your local community hall, or you name it. But this is the Independent Wrestling All-Star card. This is GCW. This is rSpringBreak. This is their biggest card of the year. So David Penzer on the mic for this opener, and we have a sensational opener to kick things off. Starboy Charlie versus Billy Starks, and Tony Deppen crashes the commentary. The two youngest talents on the roster open this up, yes. So I think Starks is 16 going on 17, and I think Charlie might be 15 going on to 16 by what I could deduct or whatever. But these two are going to be forces in wrestling, given that their talent and their age group right now, for years and years to come. There was some discrepancy and some controversy about that as well online over the past week or so. But I think back to 2000, where Stampede Wrestling Television, which was on a major network here in Canada, A Channel, Craig Broadcasting Services, were airing matches in their entirety between kids like TJ Wilson and Harry Smith. And look what happened with them. They ended up being WWE superstars not even 10 years later. So the whole reason, hey, they're in there, they're getting the ring time as well. The match itself was 11 minutes long. It was a fairly great match. A lot of sites are giving it 3 stars, 2.5 stars, along those lines. Finish the match, Starboy Charlie catches Starks off the ropes with a Falcon Arrow for the win. Great match, bit slow in spots, but they went to transitions, but overall these two have great futures. While the two of them were soaking up the adulation of the crowd and everybody was getting into it, the 440 music hits, and Eric Ryan and Bobby Beverly hit the ring, and they jump Charlie and Starks and eventually leave the ring because Shane Mercer and KTB Iron Beast make their way out to the ring, and it's an impromptu challenge match between 440's Eric Ryan and Bobby Beverly versus Iron Beast at this point. Iron Beast running wild early, hitting a double Doomsday device, 440 firing back, and Ryan hit a Tiger Driver on KTB. Then came the stretch run where Eric Ryan just got mercilessly beat down. This was like watching the Road Warriors on an episode of Superstars back in the day. KTB froze him to Shane Mercer, for a German with a bridge for the win, which was a sensational double team move in 8 minutes. So this was 2.5 stars. Basically a long squash, but this was getting Iron Beast over. But this is getting Iron Beast over. And man, they're poised for another run for those GCW tag team titles. And they are one of the hottest independent wrestling tag teams right now. Up next was a 4.5 star banger according to the PW Torch, and some other sites had it as 4, some other sites I've seen as high as 4.75. This was a 6-man, a trios tag team contest where we had Gringo Loco, Black Taurus, and Ares versus Aramus, Laredo Kid, and Dragon Bane. This is a Lucha All-Star match, and this action got crazy early on. Aramus, Kid, and Bane hit 450s at the same time for a triple near fall at one point. What a huge visual. I've seen that GIF thousands of times on Twitter since that event went down over the weekend, so pretty cool stuff. Man, this is just, if you haven't seen this match, it's incredible. It's 12 minutes long. It's a eye-opener for sure, and it is probably one of my favorite matches on this card. This was great. Aramus spun Ares around for a minute and a half before dropping him down to the mat with a sit-out powerbomb for the win. Again, the finish of this match was incredible. Aramus, Laredo Kid, and Dragon Bane getting the W in 12 minutes. 4.25 stars according to the PW Torch folks. I thought it was incredible, and what a great contest. If I'm using incredible a lot, it's just hyperbole, man, because that match, impressive stuff. All 6 of these guys they're all over the place right now too. You can watch Taurus over in Ring of Honor sometimes. Laredo Kid's been in AEW on Dynamite. Man, just incredible talents. And of course, the winning team walked out to Clint Eastwood by the Gorillas, which is always a great song. So we didn't get a very awesome video vignette for Jordan Oliver and Lio Rush, and that's what we got up next. It's supposed to be Jordan Oliver versus Lio Rush, but Leo's new Blackheart persona is fire. Yes, a brand new persona, brand new character. Think kind of Broken Hardy a little bit, kind of mixture with Broken Hardy and The Undertaker a little bit. It's a darker side of Lio Rush. He's been getting it over in GCW over the past few months or so, and Jordan Oliver had wrestled a ton of matches up to this point. He had made it to the finals of Acid Cup, and I believe walked out the victor of that tournament. So this is match number 4 of the day. Rush was wrestling his first match of the day, and yeah, looking at my notes here, Oliver earlier in the day won Acid Cup free, and he was 10-0 coming into this one this weekend. So jumping ahead to the finish in 23 minutes, this one PW Torch gives 3.75 stars for Rush went up top, but Oliver turns a frog splash attempt into a clout cutter. Oliver connected with a springboard clout cutter right after that for a near fall, and the fans popped big. Oliver hit a springboard clout cutter on the apron a short time later. He eventually tossed Rush back into the ring, but he only got a 2 count. Rush though fires back in a very freaky and scary way. Oh, by the way, Rush was screaming Jordan halfway through this thing in a very creepy, and just kind of moving around like Bray Wyatt too, which is very strange. Rush fires back and hits a frog splash off the top. Rush then tapped out Oliver with a crossface variation. Lio Rush gets the win in 23 minutes. Man, very good match, very good technical wrestling and that stuff, but it was all about the Blackheart character in this one. It was all about the Blackheart character in this one and getting that over. This was a huge win, of course, and man, Lio Rush might be onto something with this Blackheart character. If you see it somewhere, that's the backstory that I know of so far. So don't be surprised at an independent show near you if Lio Rush shows up and it's not the Man of the Hour, the Moth, whatever. It's Blackheart Lio Rush, because this is creative flexibility that these guys have after being cut by WWE and so on and so forth. to do their own thing, and he's doing his own thing, and it's impressive right now. He always has been impressive, but this is like next level. We had a Atticus Masada hype vid, and then we have an American death match up next. Masada versus 440's Atticus Kogar. Kogar asked for this one. This has been in the build for months now. The match starts hot. Kogar foregoing all of the 440 branding, and he is dressed basically in red, as he is the silver-tongued, or I think it's the silver mouth or silver-tongued devil. One of the two taglines with that. I'm sure GCW fans and hardcores and that stuff are going to lambaste me in the comments for that. But he's first into the skewers. Yeah, there's skewers, toothpicks. I'm not a big American deathmatch guy, so I'm just going to fast forward to the finish of it. If it ticked all of your boxes, and that's if you're a deathmatch wrestling fan, then great. Just know that Atticus Kogar has been on an upward trend since I seen him last year. I think at Spring Break 5 with, I think his involvement was in the Clusterfuck Battle Royal for that one, or something earlier on in the card. But he is one of the crown jewels in that 440 stable, and can wrestle basically any style of match that you want to see right now. So he's got that flexibility, and I think he's on the upward trend right now. A hell of a little heel, that's for sure. And again, turning over to PW Torch for the finish for this one. Kogar hit a headlock driver off the top for a near fall. He hit another headlock driver, but Masada kicked out again. Kogar then put another bundle of skewers into Masada's head and hit a third headlock driver, and it was good for the win. Atticus Kogar wins it in 18 minutes. Again, not a fan of this style of wrestling, but if it clicked all the boxes for you, then perfect. Rich Swann is to go one-on-one against Kenny Omega. What was he doing last weekend? Well, he was going one-on-one with Tiger Style Lee Moriarty, one of the top independent wrestlers in the United States. And this was a great contest as well. That was part of our Spring Break. This match was 10 minutes in length. PW Torch gave it 3 stars. To finish this thing was the two of them trading pinning combinations, and Moriarty got into a Fujiwara armbar, but Swann got to the bottom rope. Moriarty held on to Swann's wrist and hit a big clothesline for a 2 count, I should say, and they went up top, and Swann bit on Moriarty's ribs and pushed him to the mat. Swann then hit a 450 for the win. Yes, so they were selling the ribs on Moriarty because he had made it to the finals against Oliver at the Acid Cup. And again, to have matches, 4th match, 3rd match of the day, whatever, Swann, this was his only contest on that day. It's just insanity to have these guys work 4 or 5 times and put out these great matches and that stuff. But this was their showcase. This is the All-Star game, right? So if you can't bring it during the All-Star game, then what can you do, right? This is big worldwide audience on Fight TV, a highly hyped card, you name it, right? Everybody sees Spring Break, they want to be a part of it. So, Moriarty, he had a great weekend. Billy Starks had a great weekend. Those are two that definitely I'm going to be watching from here on out, from these shows that I'll be talking about, and so on and so forth. We'll talk later about the third here, but 2 out of the 3 there, those are the guys and girls that I'm going to be watching. So, boom. We then had Chris Dickinson cut a promo on Joey Janela in a pre-tape segment. This was Chris Dickinson versus Joey Janela, and the tag team of Slither is imploding as we speak. This was great. NWA versus AEW once again. Yes, exactly. So we had an Impact Wrestling representative in the prior contest. This is NWA's Chris Dickinson, well, with the United Wrestling Network at least, UWN NWA, versus Joey Janela, of course, All Elite Wrestling's Joey Janela. Janela with Bam Bam Bigelow tights. Yes, tribute to the big man from Asbury Park. The match starts hot again. This was more of a, I guess we'd call it your more traditional style hardcore encounter, an ECW style hardcore encounter, not so much deathmatch style, but just more of a storytelling hardcore type match. 22 minutes in length. The PW Torch gives this 4 stars. A ladder is introduced, and Dickinson hits a DVD off the ladder and through a door set up, but Janela kicks out at 2, and the 2 scuffle, and Janela locks in a figure 4. Dickinson has a hurt leg as Janela was working on Dickinson's leg during this match and telling a story with that. Dickinson is forced to tap in 22 minutes. Post-match, Dickinson spits on Janela's hand when offered a handshake. This was a great contest. And Joey gets a victory on what used to be his namesake event, and kind of elevating Chris Dickinson up to, but we all know how good Chris Dickinson is. So he's one of the guys that everybody watches on any card that he's on. So up next, Gregory Iron comes to the ring with Virgil. Kevin Gill says Effie was putting his WrestleMania weekend show on the line against Iron. Iron got on the mic and introduced his ringside enforcer that was going to be in his corner for this match, Virgil. Yes, that's right. The same Virgil that accompanied the $1 Million Man and who was Vincent in the NWO, you name it, Mr. Meat Sauce, so on and so forth. So he said Virgil is the newest member of 440, and he said he would not be Effie's bitch. Virgil pie-faced Effie. Virgil was holding a bottle of vodka. Iron then came from behind and hit Effie with a chair, and that's a hot start to our next contest, match 8 on this card, Effie versus Gregory Iron in the Brunch versus Bitch matchup. So Effie's Big Gay Brunch is the name of the show that was I think either that Saturday or Sunday morning after spring break. But what was on the line, of course, was the naming rights for that. Whether Gregory Irons had won that, it would have been renamed something else. So anyway, the match itself, Iron had the upper hand, but Effie fired back, and they did some comedy after Effie pulled Iron's trunks down. Iron hit a low blow and held Effie for Virgil. He went to hit Effie, but Virgil ended up hitting Iron with the unbreakable barrel of vodka from the sponsor. Yes, Neft Vodka was a sponsor for this, so of course you've seen their little barrels of vodka all over the place. Maybe you want to try it. Maybe one day on the channel I'll try some Neft Vodka as part of the gimmick table, because it's kind of wrestling related now, because it was presenting all these shows here that GCW was doing from the collective. So there we go. Winner was Effie in 7 minutes. Effie got a pair of scissors after Virgil hits Iron with the vodka, and Virgil was wearing an Effie t-shirt, a Wrestling is Gay shirt, which is his line, his clothing line. That's got some cool stuff, so head on over to that. Again, the tagline is Wrestling is Gay over on Twitter, and you can check that out. And well, on Google as well too, if you Google it. A pretty cool little clothing line that Effie's got started, so indeed, go check it out. Go spend your hard-earned money over there. Fans chanted for Virgil. Iron's pants were still off. Effie won the match with a big folding powerbomb, and he left Iron facing rear end side up. 7 minutes. Some nice comedic relief after a long series of intense matches on the card. Yes, this was the comedy match of the card. A lot of people laughed at this. This was great stuff. So they did the big main event entrance for Nick Gage up next, because this was the GCW Heavyweight Championship on the line in an American-style death match. This was GCW World Champion Ricky Shane Page of 440 taking on Nick Gage. They did this whole thing where Gage was shown sitting backstage. His music began playing, and he took a sip of water. Gage then made his way out to the ring, and the fans went crazy. RSP came out wearing white from the top of the venue, and Kevin Gill said 18 months of lies and manipulation would end tonight if things go Gage's way. There was a altercation between RSP and GCW promoter Brett Lauderdale. So does that lead into the match here a little bit? It kind of does. We'll get to that here shortly. And then we have the contest. Like I said, American-style death match for the GCW World Heavyweight title between RSP, Ricky Shane Page of 440, versus the legendary Nick Gage, American Death Match legend, you name it. Guy's having a Dark Side of the Ring episode after him coming out in the next couple of months or so, sometime in May and June, so definitely check it out. PW Torch giving this match 2.5 stars. This match was 33 minutes in length. Nick Gage hit a choke breaker for the win after the ref was knocked out, and Brett Lauderdale comes to the ring to make the count. RSP had kicked out of a pile driver that Gage had nailed through a glass structure in the ring. But again, like I said, RSP kicked out, but Gage hits the choke breaker for the win in 33 minutes. Yeah, this match kind of dragged at times and that stuff. Again, not a huge fan of the American style death matches on this card or whatever, but it's a GCW thing. You watch Spring Break, you're going to get a few of those. The big news came up after, and this was huge. Jon Moxley suddenly shows up in venue and at ringside and challenges Nick Gage for the GCW World Championship. So it looks like we're going to get this later on in the year. Is that going to be promotion for the Nick Gage Dark Side of the Ring episode, because Moxley got interviewed for that and we've seen him in clips in the trailer talking about it a little bit, and so on and so forth. Probably get a little cross promotion there between GCW and Jon Moxley and Nick Gage, that whole crew. Some mainstream with Vice. Can't go wrong there. There were some extra cameras at ringside recording stuff, so no doubt that maybe some of that footage might end up in that episode or somewhere down the line. I don't know what, I don't know where. I can't say, can't speculate, but I am speculating. So overall, PW Torch gave the show an 8.5. I'm going to go a little bit lower and say 8, just because, again, not a huge deathmatch wrestling fan, and the two death matches, while they were, high stakes, really didn't move the needle for me. I was more of a fan of the actual wrestling stuff. I thought that Janela and Dickinson was amazing. I thought that the opener with Starks and Starboy Charlie was an eye-opener, with these two young talents getting, as young as they are, getting it into the ring and having a very amazing match, and a very just one that got the crowd into it for sure. And Swan and Moriarty was just fun, and it's always fun watching Rich Swan. And like I said, guys getting some high profile matches here in April, which is great. So all right, folks, later days, happy wrestling watching. We got more from the collective coming up. I got a couple more shows that I've watched and got notes for this style of review for. If you like this type of stuff, let me know. This is available via audio as well at our SoundCloud link below. So if the video is too much for you, you can download the podcast and I'll jump in your device and I'll tell you all about this card via an audio form. And you can picture and visualize, because it's theater of the mind. It's audio. It's great. Later days, happy wrestling watching, folks. See ya.